Jackson, folks. I don't see anybody on. Either I've been zapped or something's wrong. Hopefully the live goes. Might be the music too, and it might be Facebook. I'd say no to Johnny Cash and Jackson. And I want to tell you all the story. Absolute, legal, true story. It's all about the city of Jackson in Mississippi. And I'm going to shock everybody as this video is explosive. I've got 3 explosive videos to do today. And of course, I'm not going to get them done. I got 4 behind here that I need to do. They're huge. But this one takes precedent. This takes cake. It's the Dark Crown Power. I've tagged numerous Black Lives Matter. Tagged Joe Biden. Donald Trump released his account and is following. Joe Rogan, Fox News, and CNN, who broke the story earlier today in the wee early hours. And I'll tell you, folks, it's extremely disturbing. I want to start it with the man in black himself, Johnny Cash, and how he grew up, where he grew up, and when he wrote the song about Jackson, Mississippi, where him and June fictionally ran off to. Folks, he grew up poor. He grew up in African American segregation, and he was poor just like so many of the African Americans of his day, which also happens to be another famous Republican president, Richard Nixon, who I also tagged his foundation, and the foundation president. I know her very well. And as I've been touring the States, I've learned a lot of truths and a whole lot of fictions about Canada and the United States. Mississippi falls in with southern states. A lot of Southerners get really offended when I group their states, and they get me wrong. They think it right away it's against the whites. It's not. It's against the Crown. It's against the Crown, but Americans seemingly don't know any better. And we're going to take Mississippi today in its legal truth and its legal speak and what's happened here, why the NAACP is filing their lawsuit, non-profit, and they're fighting for the majority, folks. Majority. You go to Jackson, Mississippi, 82.5% of the citizens of Jackson are African American. African American. A very, very small white minority in that city. And folks, what's happening is the state governor, Reeves Tate, came up with a piece of legislation, a Senate bill crafted with the lieutenant governor of Mississippi while Reeves Tate was out of state. They pushed it through. They got a majority to pass it. State Senate. I know, Canadians, you don't have it. But you have 2 titles in every province. And one of those titles is defined exclusively. Exclusively as a combination of governor of state, lieutenant governor, and absolutely the entirety of the justice system, all rolled up into one. And here's the scary part of Mississippi burning. So Mississippi, in its historical slavery, had an evil constitution crafted after the Constitutional Acts of Canada, the original North American Act that would become the 1867 Constitutional Act of the Dominion of Canada. That it is today, never been dismembered, never been redesigned. Well, along comes a state after Canada's crown colonial craftsmanship, after the provincial power of executive authority. Mississippi took that from Canada And it's been very quiet and dormant. This is for everybody to look up. You can't find a single expert in the United States of America to dispute what I'm going to tell you. Doesn't matter what color they are, doesn't matter what university they go to. In fact, Tucker Carlson is also tagged in this post. He went to Harvard. Good luck finding a single Harvard academic to dispute what I'm going to tell you. So the 1868 Constitution of Mississippi State was torn apart on the grounds of slavery, ripped up, dismembered, and redesigned. But what, may you ask, what was the design that Mississippi came up with in 1890? Well, folks, I'm glad you asked. Mississippi originally was founded in Papal Bull doctrine. That's right, folks. There was the French 7-Year War for the state of Mississippi, long time in its past, and they lost. And who took Mississippi? Well, the Spanish did. Out with the doctrine of discovery, in with Papal Bull doctrine. Spanish colonialism, Spanish slavery. In fact, it went on for a very long time in all the southern states, designed in Papal Bull doctrine, not doctrine of discovery. Now, the British took it, tried to remold it, and they did, folks. Following unification on the way to the 50 states, the states fought independence, got Mississippi in there. There was the Civil War. Mississippi, 1890, decided, after all the crap, we're going to redesign the Constitution for the last time. The last time it was ever dismembered, 1890. And what do you think you find that matches only one other country in the world? You find an executive powers, Part V, just like and exactly the Constitutional Acts of Canada. Folks, if you want to know Mississippi 1890, go match it to the 1867 Section V in the Constitutional Acts of Canada. Look how many years prior. Mississippi, the state, wrote their executive powers identically to Canada's Crown Colonial Jewel design. That's right. Any expert in the entire world, including all American top doctorates, will go cross-reference and go, uh-oh, they're identical. More than that, they took the executive powers that's bestowed on every single province in Canada on all their confederation dates. Alberta's was 1905. People say, well, Dave, no, they didn't use Alberta's. Now, maybe they used Quebec's. Maybe they used Ontario's. Maybe they used New Brunswick's. Or maybe British Columbia's. One of those four they absolutely used to write absolutely governor and lieutenant governor from the Lieutenant Governor Executive Powers Act of one of those four provinces. Why it doesn't matter, folks, is because every province and territory in Canada has the exact same act. That is, every amendment in Canada's history all the way up to 1982 and beyond. Every time we took in a new province, they got assigned a provincial constitution with the Executive Powers Authority Act or the Executive Powers Act. There's two different names, and the older the province, the older the name, but not the definition, and not that mandatory compulsory Crown Colonial design, which is governor of any southern state. Mississippi, absolutely, 1890, folks. So, how does Alberta get into it? It was Danielle Smith who crafted the Sheriff's Act, expanding their powers in all the cities. She says, I need to have my Crown Police Force assigned to the legislature now take on far and grand powers under my authority alone. Well, guess who picked up on Danielle Smith's executive powers? Reeves Tate, governor of Mississippi. In fact, a Senate bill utilized by Lieutenant Governor of Mississippi while Reeves was out of state, and the Senate, because Lieutenant Governor's president of Senate, pushed through the exact same legislation. Here we are nearly 6 months later that Danielle Smith pulled up. It was her who crafted it through the absolute autocratic Crown authority. And where does she get that authority? Bestowed from the 1876 Indian Act. And what is that? Many years prior to the 1890 Mississippi Constitution. You see, folks, everything that's infecting the United States of America today can be traced to Canada. Absolutely, nearly word for word. Now, what's the big deal here? Well, Mississippi has city police, folks, and they're elected, and so are their judges. Not like Canada. Canada, it's an appointment process for superior courts. Exactly what Governor Reeves Tate has just done. Did you know that the city of Jackson now has a central state appointed judge for the first time in Mississippi history? Where did he get that from? Oh yeah, thought I was shut down, folks. So, Reeves Tate, governor of Mississippi, has imposed on the town of Jacksonville, major city, 82.5% black, a minority appointed rule of the crown power he got from Canada, learned absolutely from only one source in all of North America, Danielle Smith, United Conservative Party of Alberta. If any Black Lives Matter or any NGOs in the United States, or in fact, any doctrine of law in the United States of America wishes to know where it's all coming from, it's called Danielle Smith in the United. Middle of Edmonton, right? I'm gonna have internet problems on a 5G. Apparently Edmonton's all 5G. Clearly that's a lie. Wonder how much more money they can weasel out of people. Folks, this video is 100% deadly accurate. And for all those Black Lives Matter, many of you tagged in this, and I hope you utilize it. It was one Richard Nixon who ended it all in the southern states, physically, and in all the acts and bills that he passed and executive orders as president. In fact, it was him who marched his little two-star to each and every state to open up schools to let Africans go to school. While the legislation was there during JFK, nobody enacted it, which brings me to your solution. This crown power is bestowed on the states, and as it's written in Mississippi, can only be overridden by one. It can only be overridden by one position in the United States of America, and that position is President of the United States of America. Executive order, the same power as Governor General of Canada. Crown colonial autocratic power. And in this instant, it's the only way to undo the evil that's to befall on all those citizens of Jacksonville who aren't going to be citizens. They're going to be defined under the Indian Act 1876 found in Canada. That's what the state of Mississippi and the governor is doing. Absolutely, autocratically, divine autocratic crown power. That's the power he's placing. I don't know how long I'm going to get. Every time I stop at a light, I get zapped. But folks, it's going to be, it's got to be President of the United States, same as Governor General of Canada. Ultimate executive authority has to override this in the order in council. And there's precedent Richard Nixon did it. He saved many, many lives. He was a terrific president. He did massive for civil rights, contrary to what everyone believes. He was wiped out. They accused him of basically wiretapping Democrats. He was wrong. It was Crown. It's too bad. If I'd been born in another generation, another lifetime, maybe who knows what would happen. But that's the way it is. Sometimes one can wonder. But folks, this is real, legendary, deadly accurate. Canada's crown is corrupt in the United States. This is massive proof of it. Look at Danielle Smith. All Black Lives Matter. All Americans, left or right. Look at it. Canada did it first. Alberta, Canada. Danielle Smith, UCP. Sheriffs. Our sheriffs are not the same as yours. Our sheriffs and our judiciary is exactly what Mississippi's crafting today. And it's written in our Constitution, older than yours. It's part of our Executive Powers Act assigned to every province and territory. Much, much older. Look at it. It's true, credible, real, verifiable, and I am breaking it just like at one time somebody broke Watergate. This is the Mississippi Watergate, Canada's Watergate over the United States of America. Sad truth to have to report, but it's one of the most important lives available. I know it's choppy, folks. Share, share, share. Get it